Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Work. There you go.
Forward.
Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Work. There you go.
Forward.
Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Work. There you go.
Forward.
Hard work. Hard work. Hard work.
Fall in.
Hard work, y'all heard the tune. What's good? What's good? What's going on, everyone? Glad to have y'all information with us this morning. You know who it is. It's me, your boy Trey, the commish. Got my man, the people close. And it's up this morning. Plenty to talk about, engage with in reference to the round ball, some pigskin, hardball, all that, of course, going forward. Coach, what's good this morning?
Man, told you at the beginning. Well, whenever they made that trade, didn't I tell you? Pat Bev, people, more of a nuisance than a ball player that's gonna help you win a championship. That, but I'm sure we'll get to that later. But yeah.
Definitely get to that. As we all, of course, know, I mean, like they talked about last night, sometimes you need that guy, and Pat is that guy. It's just you got to know how to control.
No, he's not. No, he's not. How long has he been in the league? How many championships has he helped anybody win? Playing the way that he plays, doing the stunts that he pulled. He was fighting with the fans last night, throwing balls at the fans. What are you doing? Remember the last time he got his butt kicked? He mushed Chris Paul in the back, pushed Chris Paul in the back. See, you don't need that. You need somebody that's gonna leave it all on the floor in those moments. That's what you need. You don't need Pat Bev. That don't help you win. The difference between Pat Bev and Draymond is this. Draymond knows how to win championships. Draymond got 4 of them things. That's the difference between you need a Draymond Green more than you need a Pat Bev ever. You don't need a Pat Bev. No. He already short. Who can he guard at his age now? He was a nuisance, a pest. His hands ain't quick no more. I'm just saying. Now all he does is this stuff. That's why he's bouncing around from team to team to team, people.
So now, speaking of people in which you need or someone that need, we need to have a conversation in which you brought it up to me. Hence the reason why I'm sporting, sporting the matter. I didn't get a chance to go there due to the fact I left and never returned. But I'm still Trojan to the death of me. The return of the Heisman Trophy to someone which we spoke about just the other day, that being Reggie Bush, getting getting reinstated, being back amongst where he should be. I don't think he should have ever left, as we spoke about the other day. What do you think it was the impact of? Can you say Reggie Bush is one of the greatest college football players of all time?
Man, without a doubt, we saw what he did on the field. We like 2 years. It was 2 years strong that Reggie Bush was the best athlete in college sports. Period.
Mm-hmm.
2 solid years. Like you ain't. I mean, we can argue about it. We can talk about it or whatever. But the proof was in the pudding, man. Like USC definitely don't be in the championship spot like they were without Reggie Bush. They was gonna do that with LenDale White? I don't think so. I think Reggie Bush was.
It's funny you say that. So we did realize LenDale White wasn't that person, but LenDale White was a problem as well. Like that 1-2 punch was magnificent. It just didn't work out the way they did. I still don't understand why they had Reggie Bush on the sideline during the national championship game, because everyone knew on 4th and 2 who the ball was going to with no Reggie Bush in the lineup. So I mean, it was a sellout, and it just didn't work. I continue to see that, man. You know, I put a dent in my refrigerator door when that game was off, and I had to slip. And then, of course, none other than Bishop was at the house when I was watching it. Applewhite was all at the house it was yeah, it was a down. That was a down moment for real. But it's good to see that he's going to get his Heisman Trophy back, especially it's something that he earned.
Right.
He didn't, and which you talked about, which I was sitting here thinking about it. Right, it wasn't like he took performance enhancing drugs and got caught. He was supposedly caught up on with the allegations that his family took gifts.
Right. His
Like
parents.
it's like that had nothing to do with his how he performed on the field for the most part. And so why would it be the Heisman Trophy would be stricken from him when you look at it? I mean, at this point, it's just debatable and arguments for the most part. But I can see what your point that we just having a conversation about on Monday. Like, why did they take his trophy when that was a performance based accolade, not anything outside of that? But I guess you have to take in consideration he violated, and everything that comes with the violation has to be dealt with. But you know what? I didn't look and see.
But Trey, here's my thing. Here's my thing about stuff like that. Like, this was college, right? And I'm glad that they got rid of those silly rules. Reggie Bush is a prime example of it. You can go all the way back to the Fab Five. They victims of it. You made a lot of money off Reggie Bush jerseys. You made a lot of, I mean, somebody was getting paid to, for the Reggie Bush jerseys. Like, you made a lot of money off it. I mean, where does it stop? So you're gonna punish the guy by taking away his Heisman Trophy that he earned on the field, as you was just saying. But also on top of him earning it on the field, Trey,
they estimated
they didn't take away his degree. I mean, do you feel they never take away their degrees and this, that, whatever? You know what I'm saying? Like, none of that's null and void, right? So that's why it's like the optics are really silly. Like, well, how would you punish him? You didn't punish him for his performance in the classroom. Why would you punish him for his performance on the field? You got to find something better. Shouldn't his parents have been on the hook for that?
So I can get that, and to play anti-advocate to the conversation, I think they take in consideration that his where he elevated to was on the field, and so that's why they done, because he was a scholarship athlete, but it was there, but he came there, it was on scholarship, as well as allegedly the gifts and monetary items in which he received from his parents received, put him up in the house so he was able to be there. So all that type of stuff. So I think that's the main portion what they look at. Like, this was done. He received all this because of his athletic prowess. It wasn't because he was in the classroom knocking out chemistry experiments and creating.
So let me ask you a question. Wouldn't it have made more sense that, like, okay, your scholarship is null and void at this point? You know what I'm saying? So now you got to pay back those 3-4 years that you attended this institution. I mean,
restitution.
I think that's what should, like, if they was gonna make a play like that, like, but like I said, man, like, not nearly the same thing, but like, hey, they took OJ stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was different in a civil suit, but what I'm saying, man, how you take away something that somebody earned? Like, I mean, and what were they gonna do with it? Just let it sit? Like, OJ stuff ended up on a wall in Vegas or something, in a casino in Vegas. It's like, what are you doing? Like, I'm glad they're done with those silly rules. I'm glad the NIL is in effect. I'm glad they brought the transfer portal that's more like free agency, college free agency and stuff. I'm glad of the moves that they've made to get away from all those stigmas, man. Like, you seen so many athletes go through it, right? Parents take a tractor, or parents say something. You know what I mean? Like, you saw Penny Hardaway with Memphis. What was his name? Wiseman. Remember, he loaned Wiseman. It cost Wiseman a college season, right? Half of a college season or more, right? Because of
actually development, honestly.
It cost him, right? Like, because he took a loan, because his dad took a loan from a friend. You know what I'm saying? They grew up together. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad they done. Like, good for Reggie that he got his Heisman back. It, that's just me. They never should have took that, man. Like, I'm glad he got it back. I'm glad he, and I'm glad he stayed the course.
So, oh well, yeah, he went on to have a productive college,
A decent career.
decent career,
Super Bowl champion,
Super Bowl champion, Heisman Trophy winner, almost another championship. So, I guess you could say he checked all the blocks for the end state. He just wasn't. It just didn't work out probably how he wanted it to go on. It's not like he's going to have a Hall of Fame career. He's in the USC Circle of Honor, but that's as high as the accolades probably go. But in any case, I mean, I'm glad to have watched him and seen him play and root for him. No one will ever forget the night, because him and I know they was enthralled in a hellacious battle with him and Fresno State, and that the stop on a dime and cut back to the inside the field, the push with him and Matt Lyon for them to beat Notre Dame, it could go on. So shout out to Reggie Bush, USC Trojans.
How fast was he, man? I think he was one of the fastest, in pads. I mean, we can talk out of pads, but in pads, I ain't see too many, maybe Dion was probably, you know what I mean? Like, when you look at speed wise, but Reggie Bush was blowing past people, man. Whew. Oh, speaking of that,
yes.
Can you believe what I know we're gonna probably talk about Justin Fields' punt return? Man, you better not. Mike Tomlin better not do that to that. Don't do that to that. Don't do that to that young man.
Go get that, but I'm very sure they're not going to do that. Without
don't do that. Don't do that.
Staying with here in the college realm, like I said, with the pigskin. What do you think about a couple of things that's popping off right now? The first being, let's talk about our man Dion out in Boulder, and the back and forth with him and the players, as of course one of the players came out, wide receiver Smith came out and spoke and said that he was going to give him a chance when Dion first came, and basically somewhat pushed him into the portal. Not wide receiver, cornerback. And then, of course, everyone got in. His son Shedeur spoke on how he isn't, how he didn't know dude. He's like he was mid at best, calling him basically mediocre. In which the back and forth came where the teammates now of Smith came to his defense. One, because one of the Colorado wide receivers came on and said that, hey, you was trash. The cornerback came on and showed that he said to the wide receiver, you got 36, you had a total of 36 yards last year. And then he comes back and shows that over 3 years he's only got 36 tackles. And then of course Deion Sanders gets into the mix by posting the "oh Lord" above post, and then they go back and forth. And then of course in-state comes out with someone saying something about Shedeur Sanders and Deion saying he's going to be a top 5 pick. Where will your son be at? Out of all that, the only thing that I'm focused on is Shedeur Sanders a top 5 pick?
4 and 6.
Yeah, that's what he said. 4 and 6. Y'all was 4 and 6. So
who the heck gonna be a top 5 prospect at 4 and 6?
Now take into consideration.
Come on, man.
So
if Caleb Williams was 4 and 6, would he win number 1 in his draft?
No, probably not.
Exactly.
You know what?
When have you seen one go with a record that at any point in their career go that high?
And you know what? You bring up a good point. I think there's a lot to unbox here. So what if Caleb Williams went 4 and 6, right? What if he went 4 and 6, but he still performed the way he performed? Why is that a detriment to his skill? Because again, the Heisman Trophy we just talked about is what you do on the field and skill. If I am performing at a Heisman Trophy level, but it's just not falling in my favor, i.e., my defense isn't holding Like I can score all the points in the world, but if my defense don't hold them at bay, then what can I do? So what if Caleb Williams or anyone, let's say, went 4-6, but had the type of year in which Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, or any of that had? Why are they basically eradicated for not having that? So going back to what we was just talking about with Shedeur, he was at one point a Heisman hopeful. The expectation is that he's going to probably start off the year as a Heisman hopeful. But like you said, they were 4-6. They was 3 games better than they were the year prior. But if you take in consideration the fact that their team wasn't the same team that they had the year prior, they're a new team, and even starting off, they're probably not going to be the same team again due to the fact of a lot of players, core players that they have decided to exit and went to the transfer portal, and now they're just left with kind of like a few things. Although he was able to pull in a few transfer portals, going back to what his bread and butter was last year in building his team. Is it enough to Is Shedeur a top 5 pick? And I don't know. I haven't even looked just off the top of my head from his last year.
If they don't, this season, which should be Shedeur's last season in college, right? Yes. If they don't get 9 or 10 wins, then what are we talking about? Like, look, you can say about performance, man. It's college. Everybody on scholarship. It's a lot of scholarship. Look, if you're going by those metrics, if you go into a Power 5 school and your school is 4-6 and you are a top 5 pick, that's a slight to the people at the smaller colleges that's saying that's 11-1 or whatever, 10-3 or whatever. I mean, it's a slight to those. Why do those players not get looked at on the same? Because a lot of them ball out, right? We talked about some of the quarterbacks, and you see a lot of them didn't get drafted, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying, no, you can't be 4-6 and running your mouth, man. Like, it shows bad, but it shows bad on a quarterback too, right? Look how many sacks he took. He took like 50 sacks. He was sacked. I mean, he probably set a college record for sacks. Like, that's holding the ball too long. That ain't all your offensive line. That's not throwing the ball away. That's not reading the field quick enough. Those are things that are supposed to get you. So all of a sudden, we're going to expect, and we've seen stranger things, but we expect him to
that type of jump.
That type of jump in one off season, one season. Like, I don't know, man. Either you come in with it. He living off his daddy fame, and we know it, man.
What I'll say is, and I'll be honest, because you got to think, it was you when that game against USC, we had them locked down. It was a massacre, but it was, let's be honest, it was Shedeur Sanders' leg work that kind of like put them in position to where they almost came back and beat us. It was just too little, too late. So he showed.
Say that again. Almost.
Well, I mean, the time ran out, and I think because it was him, literally, it was him that did it. Like, they would do little things here and there, but for the most part, it was him scrambling, his ability to move and the mobility in outside the pocket and broken plays. Like, you never, as I said, there's no defensive play for a broken play.
What was Patrick Mahomes' record at Texas Tech? Where did he fall in the draft? He was like number 15 in the draft. I'm not saying he won't go first round. Okay. I'm saying a top 5 pick. You said a top 5 pick. Like, I'm not saying he won't go in the first round, because I actually
think he go in the first round. I think that's a stretch too.
Well, I actually think maybe second round. I want him on the Cowboys because I think he a Dallas product. Came up in the Dallas area. It'll be star power. Like I said, the marketing genius that the Jones family is with the marketing genius that Dion is, man, it'll be great. You know what I'm saying? I just think that'll be a great move for Shedeur. I don't think he can really go too many other places. To be honest, I think Dallas would take him. I'm just saying, like, maybe late first round, early second round. You looking at something like that?
I think, which we, like they said, putting the carriage before the horse. it might be a little presumable or early to even speak on it and talk about it, but based off of his play, I don't think he would be like you got Tennessee. Tennessee was a top ranked offense. Joe Milton the third, and he went third or fourth round. So are we saying that Joe Milton the third is a scrub compared to Shedeur Sanders? I just don't know. And it could be, like you said, a matter of the players, but in-state it's going to be definitely one of those things where I think it's going to determine how his play goes this year. Now he's no longer in the Pac-12. Now he's going to be in the Big 12, where they're taking some of the players. I mean, of course, so he's going back to the Big 12, as well as the Utahs, Arizona State are going to follow to the Big 12. So it's like now when you look at it, is the competition going to be better? Is it going to be worse? It's presumably is going to be better. So you're going to see maybe he does step up and become a different player. Maybe he takes it a little more seriously, based off what it was after all that talking, or maybe just like you said, he lives off his father's name and he just rides into the sunset into being on a team. When we talk about these legacies, we talked briefly about it. Some of these legacy players, like the Frank Gore Jr.'s, Tyreek Owens, Brendan Rice, one of the McCaffrey kids. Who else? Not necessarily like Drake Stoops.
Hey, McConkey too, right?
McConkey, yeah. In which he got drafted second round.
Yeah.
Second round. So you know what I'm saying? We gotta take in consideration like that. So not all these legacies are getting that. To Leah.
So whatever happened to Thaddeus Moss?
That's that part. Another legacy.
Whatever happened to Thaddeus Moss? Did he go to LSU too?
Trotter, yes, I think he left LSU and went. I think he did finish at LSU, and then he left. Where did he get drafted?
Wasn't he catching passes from Joe Burrow? I'm just saying, like Thaddeus Moss, man.
Like these legacies, and like the legacies, I had to go check a look and see what was going on with Talia, and he didn't get drafted. Of course, no, we didn't expect him to get drafted, but he did earn a camp, a rookie camp invite from the Seattle Seahawks. So now you have that. Like I said, Tyreek Owens did get signed undrafted free agent by the San Francisco 49ers. Brendan Rice got drafted by the Los Angeles Raiders. Los Angeles Chargers. Who else is there? I don't think Frank Gore Jr. I'm not sure. I didn't take a look at that. What's another one? Brendan Rice, Drake Stoops is he got signed unrestricted free agent by the Los Angeles Rams. So we're going to see, in which I didn't like that. I wanted Drake Stoops. I would have preferred to have got Drake. I want
to throw this out there about the whole Deion Colorado thing, man. Like, it's questionable. Some of his moves are questionable. I mean, I like Prime. Don't get me wrong. I think he's good for the sport. I think, but some of his, all the traffic in the locker rooms when you're trying to play a game probably attributed to them being 4-6 or whatever they record ended up being. Like, that probably contributed to only winning 4 games. Not just the pressure of the media and stuff. And what we saw overall at certain positions, we knew that was going to happen. Like, they didn't have the talent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so some of them people. So here's my thing. So these people that you let go in this portal or whatever when you first got there, if this young man claims it's right that you wasn't even giving them a chance, you probably should have gave them a look. You know what I'm saying? Probably could have shored up some of your deficiencies. I'm just saying.
Or do what we're supposed to do, make players better.
I mean, right. You know what I mean? Those kinds of things. But I don't want to go there right now because he was just taking over. But the questionable attitude of Deion himself with like, you ain't got to take shots like that. My son, your son going to the NFL, we get that. where your son going. I mean, that's not a good look for a person that wants to recruit, right? Like, is that a turn on to is that a turn on to recruit? Because now you just go recruit because you coach Prime. I mean, but we see a lot of people jumping in the portal from Colorado, right? Like they've had players leave that played that was on the team.
Yeah, Kansas. He's one of he's in the top 10 for transfer players. That's going to have an impact on the team. So he left Colorado, in which they talk about how he didn't get much burn at Colorado, but he's heralded some in the sense to be getting burned at Kansas State. So I mean, in which they're going to see each other. It's Big 12 now. It's a Big 12 rivalry. So we'll see. It's going to probably be a lot of the storylines is what the who, what, where when it comes down to who's playing and how they're playing and what's going on. It's probably going to be that's going to be showing like it's going to be even they're going to perform or it's going to be some sad days for Deion when you take into consideration those players.
Well, Colorado dodged 2 bullets because OU is gone and Texas is gone. I'm just saying,
Arizona State, Utah, Cam Rising, like this, and then like you said, the whole Kansas, Utah, Arizona State, Utah comes to the Big 12 with them, and then you already still had Kansas that was there, Kansas State, TCU, like there it's Baylor, like it's going to be. It's not going to be a cakewalk.
But it's not as tough as it, with losing those two teams. Losing those two teams really, like, ooh, that really hurts, right? Like, it hurts because I would have loved to see Shedeur Sanders versus Arch Manning. I would have loved to see that. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's something that I would pay to see. It's just certain matchups that you say, hey, but now we're gonna get to see Arch Manning against the SEC. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, but is that so far fetched that he in the SEC? Like his uncles was in the SEC. You know what I'm saying? Both his uncles was in the SEC, Tennessee and Ole Miss. So yeah, that works out for Arch, right? But then when you look at, I just don't think the Big 12. The way that it is constructed now is going to be, you'll see in the college polls, they won't be that highly regarded because of the moves that was made.
So, interestingly enough, they did another. There were some concerns for the Big 12 bosses when they talk about it, and just like we're speaking of when you put the pecking order, right? And so they talked about the splits of what they get over the next 6 years of this new CFP from I think it's this year or next year to 2026. They're supposed to have have a breakdown, or 2025. What it comes down to is the SEC and the Big 10 get $21 million from the CFP. That's what they get. The Big 12 receives 13 million.
You see that disparity in the gap?
Yeah. So, but they have what is called a look-in place, so that way, at the end, halfway through their season or their contract, they can take a look and see, okay, this is where we're at. Do we need to revise this? So, like you were just saying, talking about the Big 12 and everything like that, what they're doing, that I guess you could say that when it comes down to it, like they're making moves and doing stuff based on they're like I said, the spirits where it's like, okay, the Big 10 and the SEC are going to presumably be the big top conferences in college football, presumably, and then everyone else is going to fall in line. No longer do they have a Power 5 because the Pac-12 is basically what the hell? Oh, the Pac-12. Here we go with this. The Pac-12 is now broken down to where it's now just a 2-team league for the most part. And so now basically you put that in perspective. And then further, I just think it's unfair, but I guess business is what it is. That's business.
Okay, here's my thing. Pretty soon they're gonna have to get rid of these conferences, right? And they're gonna have to unite them all. Like they won't do it because it's money involved. It's a lot of other political stuff involved, all that. But the best move for college ball is to get away from the years independent, right? Like I think they basketball team joined like the ACC or something or whatever it was. You know, I mean, or whatever. But as far as the football team has always been independent, and they've been able to maneuver just fine. Maybe it's just because it's Notre Dame, and the history and the tradition that come with that. But when you look at it, yeah, they're gonna have to get away from the conferences because the more and more schools hop into these other conferences. I mean, how you the Big 12? Is it 12 teams in the Big 12? I think it's more than 12 teams. I mean,
it's more than 12 now. It's 16.
That's what I'm saying. The Big 10 is more than 10 teams. I mean, you feel what I'm saying? You got to get rid of those titles and you got to switch it all up. I'm thinking you should make like one big thing and say, hey, like you competing for, get rid of the Power 5 and all that other stuff and just say, hey, you competing in the National College Football. And everybody trying to be one of those top 12 teams now, 14 teams, whatever it is.
Additionally, Coach Kirby Smart is in the money, being the first coach to reach $13 million, a threshold, because he just got a 10-year deal all the way through 2033, in which he's going to make 10 years, $130 million, which of course puts him at $13 million a year. When you look at this, coach has been in 110 games. He's 96-14 for the Georgia Bulldogs. He is now, between the 5 years in which he was coaching, he's now undefeated because the only active coach amongst active coaches, the only active coach that was left that he had lost to was Nick Saban, and he's gone. So now, over the last 5 to 7 years, he hasn't lost to any other coach, active coach in the league in college football. So I guess when you start looking at it, he is head and shoulders above everyone else. Other coaches that we can talk about: Lincoln Riley, $11 million is his salary. Steve Sarkisian makes $11 million. Dabo Swinney makes I think $10 million or $11 million or something like that. So is Kirby Smart? I mean, we don't want to tap no one's pockets, but is Kirby Smart deserving of $13 million a year?
Didn't he back-to-back championship it?
He did.
You just named Lincoln Riley and all these other people that ain't even sniffed the championship. They ain't even won a championship. Sarkisian, they ain't even won. Like, maybe they won as assistants or something, but they ain't won on their own. Like, this guy is doing it. And he was, a game away from Alabama game away from a three-peat, going for a three-peat, right? Being being one of the top 4 teams. So, man, it's like, yeah, he should be the top paid. Top dog should be the top paid. I mean, no Saban. Saban gone. Saban up there complaining, yakking.
DeBoer is $10.7 million as well, the new Alabama coach. But you know what was even worse when I look at it? Where they do this at? Where is it to where I hire you, right? I hire you. I'm talking about the AD, the athletic director.
Mm-hmm.
I hire you. I get an extension and a raise, but guess what? My annual salary is now
nowhere near yours.
1.7 million. Like, I hired you. How do you get 13 million and I get 1.7 million when we come to the table?
Hey, that's kind of odd on who's the boss there, right?
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying?
Not a whole lot of listening gonna be going on.
Like, I'm the athletic director, and I'm not. And when you take consideration, I'm not just running the football. I run the university's athletic program.
But wait, Trey, we see this all the time in professional sports, right? All those athletes make more than they coach. All of them. You know what I'm saying? Like all the athletes make more than your coach. So we see
Yeah,
this all the time.
it's
And then
like
the coaches make more than the GMs, right?
that's just crazy. It's crazy. I looked at it,
Typically,
I was
right?
like, make 13 million. He's 13 million a year. I brought him into the fold and I make 1.7. I even at 2 million. That's crazy.
Maybe it's a bonus or something in your contract. But I look at it like I said, you see it in the pros all the time. So it's like it's no surprise to me that the coaches make more than the athletic directors. Um, um, the coaches have the heavy lifting part to do. Athletic directors, you know, um, you're responsible um, for all the sports. You know what I'm saying? For majority. I mean, you feel what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
so you think that you should be getting a little bit more compensation, but we know how football dominates a lot of these colleges. If it's not football, then it's basketball, right? Um, so you got to think of what's paying.
So moving on to just talking pro, like you just say, professionally standpoint, moving into the Pigskins Pro portion of it. Let's get to what you were just speaking about early, right? I heard Jalen Warren speaking to the press in which he said they was asking him was trying to ask him if he was going to be the one to return punts and kick returns for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he is like under the new rules for kick return, and then he let out the bag that the special teams coordinator said we're gonna put not Jalen, Justin back there. Of course, I believe it's tongue in cheek, and there is no way that they're putting Justin Fields back there to return kick returns. But like you said earlier, stranger things had happened. If they did go that route, do you think it would have any benefit?
No, no. This is why
Okay.
you. I mean, the only thing it won't be a benefit. It'll be detrimental to this young man's career, man. Like that's why I said no, Tomlin. Don't do that. Don't put this guy at punt return. Man, the guy's a quarterback. The guy's a quarterback. You know, like he a quarterback. I tell you something, man. Like this was back in the days, right? I used to ball. I used to love football, man. Football was my favorite sport. So look, anyway, I had played, the little Pop Warner middle school, whatever, right? So I ran into, my Pop Warner coach,
Uh-huh.
right? And I was playing like defense or something or whatever. He was in the stands and he came up to me and he said, Cornelius Cole. He said, "Why are you not quarterbacking that team? Why?" He was like, "Why are you not using your God-given ability? Why are you defense?" I said, "They told me I'm too short to quarterback." He was like, "No." He was like, "But why didn't you show up?" But that was a valid point that I didn't, you know what I'm saying? I didn't push to play court. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to
Mhm.
be a part of the team. I just wanted to be a part of the team. But he was absolutely right, right? So I had to live with that. Like, you know, um, not really going after the whole quarterback thing. Man, don't let people talk you out. Basically, don't let people talk you out of what you're good at. Like, I was good on the defensive side of the ball too, but it come at a cost. Because I was really light in the behind. So making all those big hits, I mean, even though I could do it, it takes a toll on you, right? Um, but quarterback, I was just naturally gifted at that, right? And I got so tired of all of the grown and all the older people around me saying you should be quarterback, blah blah blah. Why you ain't doing this? Like if they don't take you here at this school playing quarterback, why didn't you go to the other school? I heard it all, and I just got tired of it, right? Like, but point being, I let them talk me off the ledge. You know what I'm saying? Like, I let them talk me out of what I'm giving. Like, don't let people talk you out of what you're doing. So, Justin, no, you're a quarterback. Don't step back there to return punts, kick returns. Don't do
it. So looking at this, right? We staying in Pittsburgh, black and yellow, staying in Pittsburgh, right? They have decided not to pick up a couple of key people's 5th-year options. So I'm very sure there's a strategy behind this in which we're going to see if we can figure out positively what it is. So they didn't pick up Justin Fields' 5th-year option, and they didn't pick up Najee Harris's 5th-year option. However, they did pick up T.J. Watt and Minkah Fitzpatrick's 5th-year options, and they did not also pick up Jarvis Jones's, Artie Barnes, Terrell Evans, and Devin Bush's 5th-year options. Do you think this is just a chance to save some money as they look to re-sign their draft? They look to sign their draft picks and see where they're at, and then we're going to see later on the year before the season gets started, they're probably going to break bread and open the door or open the checkbooks for these players? Or can we say we're probably going to see Najee Harris's last downs played in Pittsburgh before he's going on to another team?
I think it depends on how far Pittsburgh goes in the playoffs. I think is what they do if they make the playoffs, how far they go. I think it's going to be on an individual basis. I mean, they smart. I mean, T.J. Watt deserve whatever they gonna give him. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to evaluate these players. I think Najee Harris, I always thought he was, I ain't gonna say overrated, but I just didn't, like Warren's, in my opinion, Warren's a way better running back. Warren would be the running back that I would choose. Najee would be short yardage for me because having Warren didn't make Najee play better. I'm just saying. I think that it's gonna take like they're gonna see what's going on, but I think that not all of them are gonna get signed, and it's Pittsburgh. They notorious for doing this kind of stuff. I mean, you talking about the same. What was his name? Santonio Holmes was the Super Bowl MVP, and like a season or two later, he was in a Jet uniform. Remember that?
Yeah, but so
Pittsburgh. This is what they do.
But so okay, I could get the part of Jaylen with the Jaylen Warren situation, but why not pick up the 5th-year option on Justin Fields? Like we're talking about, like they have Russell Wilson on a 1-year deal. Now at this point, they've put Justin Fields on basically a 1-year deal to where he's not expected to play. So what possibly could be the reason? Why would they sit up and not continue to pay him on the rookie scale with 1 additional year, as opposed to waiting next year to sit up and presumably sign him at what the cost? This year's price is not going to be next year's price on Justin Fields, because now they're going to have to pay him. Right?
I don't have to pay him. He ain't earned it, man. Look. I don't feel bad. You haven't earned it. Like, let's just face it. Justin Fields did not earn it when he was in Chicago for one reason, whether it was developmental issues, whether all the way around. The player got some responsibility in that too, because you got to rise to the occasion, regardless of what they give you. I mean, like we started to see that, right? Like I always go back to Mahomes, but let's go Burrow. Burrow ain't always had all the talent on his squad. Like he ain't got no offensive line. He did, and Joe Burrow, you telling me if Joe Burrow would have played all year, he would have looked like Justin Fields did? No, he would have shined. I mean, you got to shine when it's your moment. And Justin Fields, like, I'm a fan of Justin Fields. I've rode for Justin Fields, and I still ride for Justin Fields to get a fair shake and the development. And maybe that'll come with Pittsburgh. But at the same time, the man underperformed. Let's just put it out there. So are you gonna extend somebody that underperformed?
So it would have just been 1 year. But it would have been a $25 million year, but it would have been 1 year. And so,
yeah. And what's the rookie cut? Nah, I can save money. I can get that.
Well, it's the back end of it's the last year of his rookie. It would have been the last year of his rookie contract, which is probably one of the reasons why Chicago let him go. It's like, hey, this is like $25 million on a player who hasn't done much. Maybe you don't have something saying that.
I can give this money we can use this so we can allocate these funds somewhere else to help get past. Man, they're gonna have to go through Cincinnati, Cleveland, Baltimore. Those are gonna be 6 brutal games. They always 6 brutal games, but they're gonna be 6 crucial games. Man, just to get out of the AFC North. So yeah, we got other things to worry about other than Justin Fields.
But so I could get to 25 million, but they was only supposed to roughly Najee Harris was due and the picking up the 5th-year option was only due 6.7 million. Like it's like let's keep it real. Like, yes, Jaylen Warren has been more beneficial or has cut into Najee Harris's because now Najee Harris is down to 84%, 84% of the touches on the field, 84% of the time. But thinking about it, is Jaylen Warren being that productive if there was no Najee Harris? I mean, I know they don't play at the same time for the most part, but Najee Harris is a banger. He's a thumper, and then it's a shift of pace when you put Jaylen Warren in, and Jaylen Warren's a better option out of the backfield for to receive passes. So
Najee Harris is in the prime of his career, Trey.
Already, and he's only 26.
That's what ain't that the prime of your life? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's in the prime. Like, he hit 30 as a running back. He old. So you in the prime, 26.
Okay,
20. You in the prime of your career right now. And what needle has he moved in the prime of his career, 25, 26? What has he done? I mean, seriously, since he's been in the Pittsburgh uniform that has wild people turn heads and all that, nothing. Absolute 3 yards in a cloud of dust. He reminded me of Eddie George at the end of his career. You know what I'm saying? But that was the end of Eddie George's career. Like, you 3 yards in a cloud of dust, man. Like, a part of their problem, it wasn't just play calling. It's the person. When they put Warren in the game, watch how that team comes alive and watch how they move the football down the field. Watch how they move. Warren's a better pass catcher. He might not be a better. The one edge I give Najee Harris is he's a better blocker.
Mm-hmm.
And you need that. You need that in today's league, the way that these defenses are fast and all that stuff. You need that. Especially when you got D tackles, like everybody wants D tackles like Aaron Donald and stuff like that, like the interior defense and stuff. But Najee Harris can't run the ball to the outside. He can only run between the tackles and the guards. Barely between the tackles. I'm just saying, Najee Harris in his career right now is where Zeke is in his career, and we know Zeke on the back end of his career. So I'm just saying, like, was Zeke not phenomenal for 3 years in Dallas?
Yeah,
phenomenal. Have you said that Najee Harris is phenomenal at any point in his pro career so far? And what year is this in his pro career?
It's the 4th year.
Exactly. So do you expect him to get better as time goes on? Or is this the finish? I think you got the finished product of Najee Harris right now. And that's what you're going to get. So I totally understand not wanting to pay him $6 million for, you know.
So staying within the same thing, moving on to Kansas City, Kadarius Toney had his 5th-year option denied by the Kansas City Chiefs.
Duh.
Come on, man.
Duh.
But the expectation is that they're giving him one more season to kind of show what he can do. From my understanding, is Andy Reid wants him in the offense. Do you think that he's only winning in the offense because now we don't know what's going to happen to Rashee Rice based on his legal issues and stuff? So they still have to keep something around. Although they did pick up a wide receiver, being Xavier Worthy in the draft in the 1st round.
No, I think they believe. I think Andy Reid believes in Toney. Toney got speed. Andy Reid loves speed. So now and his problems are all up here. It's got nothing. I mean, it's clearly that he's not as focused as he should be. So maybe, he switches focus and he in there to win it. Man, you're on a chance. You got the chance of a lifetime. You're on a championship squad. Like you got to capitalize on that. And I like the fact that Andy Reid giving them another shot. But yeah, I wouldn't pick up the option though. That's not a surprise. Like, because if you don't bring it here this season, then you out of here.
A couple more things. The Chargers agreed to deal with the wide receiver DJ Shark Jr. Now he's going to be in Los Angeles as well, adding to the receiving core for Coach Harbaugh, which I guess you could say that's not really too much, but that gives Justin Herbert another target, I guess you can say. He will be back with his other plays. He played with Bradley Bozeman and Hayden Hurst when they was in Carolina in Jacksonville. But they need something, of course, when Keenan Allen and Mike Williams is no longer there. So I guess you can see. Do you think this even gives? What do you expect to see from? I know it's a little off topic. What do you expect to see from the Los Angeles Chargers this year? You think are we going to see Harbaugh back to where he was like coaching San Francisco, or is that too soon to believe that?
Look, what Harbaugh is doing right now is saying, "Hey, I'm not only here to build this team into a winner, but with these moves that they've been making, Trey," he said, "Herbert, it's time to put up or shut up." For real, this is what Harbaugh said to Justin Herbert, that you might be the man to the organization, but you ain't proved yourself to me yet. So I'm gonna give you every opportunity to thrive and strive. You've had talented teams before on paper, this, that, whatever. But for some reason or nothing, you've underperformed. Now we're gonna eliminate all the excuses. No excuses. There's no excuses time for Justin Herbert. I think that's what Harbaugh is saying to his quarterback. Like, you the franchise. Now we're gonna give you multiple weapons, multiple pieces, and we're gonna see what you got. So no excuses. And let's face it, they trying to compete with the Chiefs.
So a couple of more things before we get into this basketball. Of course, NBA playoffs going on. Jacoby Brissett, currently a New England Patriot. We just saw last week New England Patriots drafted Drake May, third overall draft pick out of Carolina. Jacoby Brissett sat behind another former Carolina quarterback in Sam Howell in Washington. Jerod Mayo is a first-year coach. In your opinion, if you're Mayo, and I understand competition, but if you're Mayo, are you going with someone that you played with, that knows the system, the Patriot system, although you're probably changing the Patriot system? Or are you going with your new upstart to begin your college, your professional coaching career? Are you going with Brissett or are you going with May?
I'm going with May, and this is why.
Okay.
I think May gonna beat him out in training camp anyway, because we seen Howell do it. We see, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, Jacoby Brissett has had plenty of opportunities, man, from New England to Indianapolis to the Washington Commanders. This guy's had opportunities and he's not capitalized on one. So until he capitalized on one, I don't want to hear nothing from Jacoby Brissett. I heard him saying, I saw this stuff where he was saying, "Oh, I'm looking forward to a competition." What competition? You get beat every time. It's no competition. You get beat every time. You had the perfect setup in Indianapolis, and they replaced you. You could have been the Washington Commanders quarterback. Period. No Sam Howell. Sam Howell outperformed you. The numbers prove it. The play proves it. Bring up the film. Jacoby Brissett you getting a lot of chances not to cap. I was telling you that the other day about a lot of these court. Remember we were talking last week, or Monday, or the last time, what was it? Last Friday or whatever, whenever we were talking, and I was saying, man, it's a lot of these quarterbacks. I named Carson Wentz and stuff. I didn't get to Jacoby Brissett, but he's another one you've had multiple cracks at the apple and have been delivered. Like, you haven't delivered, and teams don't win with you. Yeah, they stay even, but they don't win with you.
So Jacoby said, so you're staking your first season on the rookie. You're a
Yep.
rookie coach. The rookie coach.
Yep.
The rookie. So y'all gonna do it
Hey,
together.
it worked out for D'Amico Ryans. You know what I'm saying? It worked out for D'Amico Ryan. Hey, man, yeah, you got to. Like I said, Jacoby, man, you know, he been on the pot a long time and ain't pooped yet, man. So, yeah, no. I'm not saying that he can't get it done and he won't be a good backup. He a good insurance quarterback if things go left with May, but May would be my choice.
Okay. So May gets to start. Or he's like you said, he's probably gonna beat him out. Is like not necessarily he's probably gonna beat him out in spring camp.
Yeah, I would be shocked if May don't beat him out. I would be shocked.
I guess we're gonna see. I like Jacoby, man. I like Jacoby.
Man, look, I got nothing against Jacoby. I'm just saying, like in all these years, he going on what 8 years in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't he been in the league about as long as Dak been in the league? I'm just saying, and his numbers are not even comparable to Dak's numbers at all. I'm just saying.
He hasn't had the weapons that Dak has had either.
Man, stop it. He had some receivers down there in Indianapolis. He could look McLaurin and those dudes in the Commanders. You trying to tell me?
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it, Trey. No excuses, man. like it's no excuses. Like none.
I tried. So speaking of Dak, I know you have you can exhale now, as there will be no charges brought against Dak Prescott on the assault claim in which he had from 2017. So you can rest easy now, not having to worry about, are we going to have to sit up and go with a different quarterback? Are we going to have to bring someone in? Do we have to call up Brady and see if he's available?
Man, please. Trey Lance was going to go to work, baby.
Speaking of Trey Lance, they didn't pick up his option either.
They shouldn't. You got time. You got time on Trey Lance.
But do you? So look at that.
You got time.
Like none of these. So Trey Lance nor Justin Fields, who neither one of these two teams, being the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Dallas Cowboys, picked up the 5th-year options on their backup quarterbacks. And when you don't, I mean, it's a little different for Trey Lance because Dak has time on his contract with the team. It's just a matter of how he's going to perform. But as we said earlier, that is not the same case for Justin Fields, as Russell Wilson is on a 1-year flyer for $1.5 million because his contract is being paid by the by the Denver Broncos. So the situations is different.
It's different for Dallas too.
But how much Sean Dak got left on his contract? What, 2 years? Is it extension?
He waiting to get paid. See, Dak waiting to get paid. That's why they can't pay. We can't pay Trey Lance right now. See, our situation is different. We got to pay CeeDee Lamb and Michael Parsons first. So you got to wait. You got to wait. Your 5th-year option. You got to wait.
$5.3 million.
You got to wait. You have to wait because we have to pay these. We got to give Michael Parsons a big bag. CeeDee Lamb gonna want a big bag, man. We got Dak looking for an extension. Like, we got 3 pieces that we got to pay. Like, so right now it's not pressing to pay Trey Lance. I mean, I understand that move.
So today would have been the last day in which you would have been able to pick up the option, in which, of course, they didn't. In which all those quarterbacks, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, were all in the window for the options to be picked up, in which no one probably got picked up. I think Lawrence might have been the only one, or might be the only one that's going to be able to right the ship on that. That draft class, man, it's horrible. But it happens.
It happens, right?
You have a whole nother one, in which it's crazy how we keep on drawing these, when we keep on pulling these quarterbacks, these draft classes. And we can sit up and see it and talk about this. Like, they just had another one that I think is going to be a whack draft class. Is the one with or no, that's the same draft class, so it stands fat. No, it ain't. The Levis with Levis. That was what, this year's draft class, last year's draft class.
Yeah,
that's going to be another one. Malik
As far
Willis
as what?
the
You
draft
think
class.
CJ Stroud is going to be the only star out of that class? I think Bryce Young with the right coaching, he gonna show you a little something. I mean, I think it's gonna be a few of them that show you something, right? I
Yeah,
think
I
Levis. I
think
think
yeah.
Levis. If Levis is given, if he's given that opportunity out there in Tennessee, sit back and watch. Just sit back and watch. I think Levis gonna pay off in the long run.
So they have replaced Henry with Spears. They added, who did they bring? Is Mike Williams? Who's there now with Nuke? Who's the other receiver now? Didn't they just add a receiver?
Sorry about that. Say that again.
Didn't they just add a receiver in Tennessee?
I'm not sure about what Tennessee is doing.
I think they added a receiver. I can't remember who it was, but I know they added a receiver that's now there with Hopkins. So I guess it all come out and see, but I don't know. I just don't believe. I personally don't believe in Levis. I don't know, but I guess we see he has a whole year to get instituted, implemented, and be productive and overcome some things. So we'll see how it ends up going, what Levis is doing, or how it all plays out for him.
But even with just Hopkins, he's good, man. Like I like the move of Spears. I mean, it was time for Derrick Henry to go somewhere to chase a chip. I like what Tennessee's going. I like what Tennessee like. They showed some flashes. I think if they go with a more open offense, it'll suit everybody more. Now that you got rid of Vrabel and that slow, monotonous give the ball to Derrick Henry 20, 30 times a game. Now that that's over, you can spread the offense, open it up, and let Levis go to work. Something that you could never do with Tannehill, by the way.
I don't know. I guess I was about to say I prefer to have Tannehill. I like Tannehill
Until it comes to the playoffs and he throws 4 interceptions to the other team, like with no pressure. Just
and then they ain't got no backup. Malik Willis isn't it? But I mean, I digress. Moving on. NBA action, as they would say, is fantastic. What Don say? What about Malik Willis? Is he considered trash as a high pick? Again, I think Malik Willis was a part of that draft class with Trey Lance and them. So that just wasn't the draft class.
But it's no development. That's the problem. Is that you see this guy is fast. He quick on his feet, but he had a hard time reading the field. He a little paranoid back there, uncomfortable, unsure. So you don't know if that's play calling. You don't know what's. I mean, it's a combination of factors that some of these quarterbacks are not successful. They ain't all trash.
Mm-hmm.
It's just. I mean, because if they was trash, they wouldn't be drafted, right? Or whatever, like right off the rip, right? Like or projected or with the potential, but it's like they not reaching the levels, and a lot of it got to do with what Brady said, man, about the development of the players. Like it's the truth, and you start to see it with not just with quarterbacks, but more so with quarterbacks because that's what that seemed to be the highest focus of. I wouldn't consider Malik Willis trash. I will say that, man, he underperformed miserably. The chances that Tennessee gave him to show his stuff.
And I was about to say, so would you say it is? I mean, of course we can't say he's trash because we're sitting here talking about him and doing what we do to earn the bag, and he's being paid to be talked about at that point. But when you take in consideration, he was drafted a year to 2 years later. They drafted another quarterback over him again when he was there, and he had, like you said, he had an opportunity to perform, and he didn't perform. He didn't show that he had what it took. And at this point, he's being kept around because he's a inexpensive option. And maybe they think there's still some promise in which they get him because technically Malik Willis was like what, a 3rd, 4th round pick.
Right.
in when he was drafted and took over for Tannehill, and then they had to bring in what's his name? He's in San Francisco now. Hobbs. I mean, not Hobbs. Yeah, he had to bring him in, and then he played. It's like what? It's like at this point, it's like what are you doing, Malik? Like, all right, or maybe it is a situation just as you said, to where he needs to go somewhere and maybe see something else and maybe be able to be productive.
Oh, okay, look, this is what I want to ask you. I want to ask you this question.
Dobbs.
So you take a Malik, yeah, you're talking Dobbs, but
Yeah.
take Malik Willis. You mean to tell me, or take Justin Fields, take any one, Trey Lance, take any one of them quarterbacks. Now, you mean to tell me that if they had a coach like if one of them had a coach like a Andy Reid or a Sean McVay, that they wouldn't be successful? And we saw Baker Mayfield step off the plane and be successful in McVay's offense for one night. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, I'm serious. Like, it's the development and it's who in your ear, man. It's all about that. Like, a lot of the Vrabel is considered a defensive coach. Most of these coaches, you notice the theme? Justin Fields, like a defensive coach. All these dudes, all these coaches are supposed to be defensive minded. They're not developing quarterbacks. That's why Tannehill career was right where it was, because that was good enough for Vrabel. This is all we need, because we're gonna ride defense and Derrick Henry. So we don't need nothing better at quarterback. Do you feel what I'm saying? I mean, you start to see that, right? Like you just start to see the development, these so-called defensive. Like, that's why I said, like, the best thing, look at what DeMeco. You know what DeMeco Ryans did different than most of these guys that get their shot, these defensive so-called coaches or whatever, defensive-minded coaches. You know what he did different? He took San Francisco's second best offensive mind and said, "Come with me. You're gonna be." You feel what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you feel what I'm saying? He couldn't get Kyle Shanahan to be his offense coordinator, so he took Slowick. Hey, come, you gonna be my guy. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I think that's what they got to start doing. You got to start linking up. Look at you got to get Chicago their props, right? Eberflus got who now as offensive coordinator?
Who is Chicago?
He just got a good offensive coordinator, right? So that's like, you have to link up like that. Like, these defensive. Remember Rex Ryan? How many quarterbacks? Rex Ryan went to the AFC Championship game 3 times with mediocre quarterback play. Never good quarterback play. Imagine if he had a quarterback. Then he beats. He not only competes with New England, he beats New England. But they don't care about these defensive minded coaches. Don't care about quarterbacks. They don't care. They like, we could put anybody back there, right? And that's what happens. They start putting anybody back, not developing. They just bring people on and they don't develop them. You see the quarterbacks that's excelling, right? Patrick Mahomes has an offensive minded guy. Matthew Stafford won the Super Bowl. Who he got? I mean, I'm just saying, like, when you go down the list, Lamar Jackson has what? They struggle with the offensive side, right? Harbaugh's supposed to be good with both sides of the ball, right? John Harbaugh, right? But you can see he's more defensive minded because he's always had top 10 defenses. But where is his offenses ranked? I mean, I'm just saying, when you go down the list of, you start to see the theme. You start to see the theme that the offensive minded coaches. Look at Josh McDaniels. We didn't expect Tua to be as good as he is. Not Josh McDaniels, Mike McDaniels. Sorry about that. Ooh, boy, what a but Mike McDaniels. Like, look, the proof is in the pudding, right? Like, look at the difference between look at what kind of offense. Take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're a prime example. When Bruce Arians was on that sideline, that offense was humming. Mike Evans, Godwin, all of them was getting off, right? They brought over, with Tom, they brought over Gronkowski. What was the other tight end? He was Bates or whatever his name was. He was even having a little shine. They had, you could run that offense. That offense was so good. You could throw playoff Lenny back there. Lenny Fournette brought him off the couch. You know what I'm saying? But they had Antonio Brown. I mean, think about what Arians had. And then he steps up into the main office and look at what he gives Todd Bowles, a defensive-minded coach, right? Like, think about that. They knew they was going to have to scramble for a quarterback. But think about what they left him with. It's a total different, you know what I'm saying? It's a total different ball game. It's like, yeah, Baker had one of his best years. Baker shined or whatever, but that offense, come on, man, they wasn't ranked very high overall. It's but if Bruce Arians was the coach, then watch how that offense would thrive. It just makes a difference on who coaching you.
We're gonna see as they get ready. As soon as we're gonna be seeing rosters start coming out, finalizing, and start to make a push as the summer gets ready to heat up. As they get ready, a couple of weeks actually, a couple of months or so before they do the Hall of Fame game and they get into their camps. So, but what we know what's going on right now is two sports actually. You got Major League Baseball and National Basketball Association as they enthralled in the playoffs, in which the first round is almost complete. Tonight, the opportunity to complete those rounds, as we know, 2 games of supposedly as the who is it? The Cleveland Cavaliers facing off against Orlando, and of course the Los Angeles Clippers facing off against the Dallas Mavericks. So last night, however, pitted the some good games, a couple of good games. Were you impressed last night? Were you not entertained last night?
The Knicks game was a good game. That was a good game. That Bucks game, I was so glad to see the Bucks get out of there. I'm glad it's over for the Bucks.
And we said that the Bucks was going to lose this first round. We figured that Miami was going to lose the first round without Jimmy Buckets. I presume that the Lakers was going to win the first round, in which they had every chance. But
you know what? I thought it was going to be a better series than that. But then, who do you fault? Who do you fault for the Lakers? Because I wanted to ask you that. Did you see? I don't know if you saw the Inside the NBA where Charles Barkley was saying you can't blame Darvin Ham and you can't blame Frank Vogel for what happened to both of their teams respectively. Like he said, the players suck.
The players suck. So
that's a quote from Barkley. Like the players suck. It's not the coach's fault. You shouldn't fire Darvin Ham. You shouldn't think about firing Frank Vogel. It was the players. They sucked.
I think in the case of Frank Vogel, it was that case, definitely. When you sit back and look at it, and it's Rob Pelinka for the most part, I think, is they blew up. They didn't even give an opportunity to run it back with the championship squad in which they had, unless they just figured that the championship squad, because it was a veteran-laden team, and it was conducive for the 2020 environment that ended up being after COVID. But I refuse to say that word. But it was conducive for that environment, but it might not have been. Maybe Pelinka figured that it wasn't going to be that for a full 82 game season the following year, but they didn't give an opportunity to run it back, and they didn't pay. They didn't pay. They didn't pay none of them actually. When you look at it, they let Dwight walk. They let Rondo walk. Caruso was the last one in which they decided to keep Talen Horton-Tucker over Caruso, and then a couple of months later traded him and sent him to a year or so later they traded him and sent them to Utah. Let Kyle Kuzma go. Let JaVale McGee, all you know, saying and everything. So I think what's going on now in Los Angeles is definitely a bad chemistry experiment that's going on, in which they can't get any footing. You thought they kind of like hit strides last year with the Western Conference Final. I think this year they didn't get a chance to gain any momentum because they ran into a foe that was going to be that caused problem for them. But in every game, they were in every game. Every game.
No, stop playing, man. Don't play with me, Trey. They was winning every game.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Double-digit leads. They wasn't in every game. They had double-digit leads in every game. They had double-digit leads. Yo King, y'all so-called GOAT, even at 39, had one job: close those games out. He couldn't close those games. I'm sick of everybody blaming all these others. Your GOAT, yeah, he putting up great numbers, but I'm starting to think he's just playing for the numbers. Because he putting up numbers, he won them one game. He putting up numbers when they don't count. AD been playing out of his freaking mind, man. Like, you can't blame AD, even though he a little Hollywood. You can't blame him. Like, yo, you putting all this on D-Lo and all these other players when no, they had leads in every game. Yo, closer gotta close. Who's the closer on that squad? You ain't going to
You don't
AD,
have
so
a
it's gotta
closer.
be LeBron. LeBron did not get it done in the fourth quarter of but one game, man. And nobody's saying that. Nobody want to throw rocks at the throne or something, man. It's like, but the proof is in the pudding. LeBron can't win you a series no more. That's proven. No matter, okay, he
Oh,
good.
yeah, that's been that.
No,
Like
what
I
I'm
said, I
saying
don't
is,
even rely on LeBron to do that anymore.
but he had one job: close in the fourth quarter. Close. And he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. Not on the offensive end, not on the defensive end. Remember, he won championship. They was like, he got good defense. Remember the block against Iguodala and all that different stuff, man. Yo, you saw none of that in this series against Denver. You saw him getting cooked on the defensive end. Well, we saw Zaya was cooking him. Like, but that's different. That's Zaya. All I'm saying is that this guy, and then he don't step up to the challenge and hold dudes like he should. Put AD out there trying to hold Jamal Murray. Stop it.
The second time they put Austin Reeves, but Austin Reeves got chipped on the block and then they separation.
Man.
But Taron Prince told Hachimura to go to get to the elbow, and Hachimura didn't go because they had I think it was Caldwell Pope that was sitting over in the corner. So it just wasn't
no. What Kobe doing in that situation? We seen it. What Kobe doing in that situation? Get out the way. Move. Get back. That's what Kobe doing in that situation. Did you see LeBron do that? No. I'm saying, man, you want to compare leaders and you want to know why this guy lost not twice, but 6 times. He still owe me. Him and the Heat still owe me some championships anyway. Not 1, not 2, not, man. I don't want to. I mean, but I'm just saying, like, this guy is notorious for this, man. That's why he ain't got more championships than he got. We seen him fold in Dallas, to Dallas. You lost to old Jason Kidd and an old Jason Terry and JJ Barea, bro. You didn't lose to like top tier Mavericks or whatever. Dirk Nowitzki. That's who you. I mean, I'm just saying, when you talk about this guy, man, you got to start looking at that kind of stuff. And it's not just to bash LeBron. It's just saying that, hey, you know what? They switched the whole team around you. They basically doing what you want them to do. Like, they bring in your clutch. They always bring your clutch sports partners or whatever that's under the same agent as you and this, that, whatever. They pretty much give you everything that you want except for the right coaches. That's the only thing I'm going to defend LeBron about, is that they think anybody can coach this guy. Because every organization except for Miami, but I'm just saying, the Cleveland organization and the Laker organization, they just give him anybody, just any coach. Any coach will do for LeBron. It's like, no, man. It's like, because you need a good coach to develop the other players, to help out the other players. Like, and LeBron closed the game. What would his role be if you roll back the clock and you put him on a Phil Jackson team? What would his role be? To close the game. He's not a closer. He's not closing. Like, that's his fault. That's his fault. That's not D'Lo fault. That's not Austin Reeves' fault. That's not AD fault. That's the King fault. Close the game, man.
So of course, like we said, that series didn't go well. That series didn't go as I expected. Additionally, who else? The Knicks ended up closing out, and we're gonna talk about that in a second. As we expected, we said they were going to get the Pacers, as we stated. The Bucks was going to be the long, especially once Lillard went out. We still have the Cavaliers. We both thought the Magic was going to take care of business. They have the opportunity to do so, but they need 2 games to do so in the next over the course of the next 3 games. 2 games, they need 2 over the next 2 to close that out. The Heat, without Jimmy Buckets, we said was going to go down, in which it did happen. Thunder dispatched the Pelicans swiftly, as expected. Timberwolves knocked off Durant and company
Sweet.
quickly, gentleman sweep.
I love that too. I love that.
And to sweep them out. So 2 sweeps from the West in the first round, a gentleman sweep and then we're looking at the Mavericks and the Clippers. So as I watched the other day, right, and I'll be fully transparent. I was cheering once the Lakers lost. I was cheering for the Clippers to lose.
I'm sure you were.
I really was. I found myself, and it was like an overwhelming type of cheer. Like I was like, give it to him. I was so upset that game. Remember, the Clippers was up 31 points in game 4, I think it was. It was up 31 points, and Dallas came back. And I was hoping that Dallas was going to close the show, because then they would have been out and they would be waiting. We'll be getting ready to see the Mavericks and the Thunder, but it didn't happen. But now it's a possibility of happening because, again, Kawhi is out for Game 6. They have Game 6 going to get ready to pop off tonight, and I'm still cheering. It's 2 teams I need to lose. So it's 2 teams I need to lose in these playoffs, and I have to wait for the second round for this other team to lose. But I need the Clippers to lose, and I need the Celtics to lose. They got to lose. At this point, I'm cheering for Oklahoma I'm cheering for Oklahoma and Minnesota to be NBA champions this year. Lightweight Denver. I like Denver, but they took care of business 2 years in a row to ill afford us the opportunity to get one up on the Celtics. So at this point, I'm team Timberwolves, team Minnesota, or team OKC. I'm looking for a Thunder, Timberwolves, Western Conference Finals, but that's where I'm at right now. So I definitely need for the Mavericks to fall off tonight. But before we go into talking about those games, let's talk about last night's games. Like we started talking about, as you stated, the Knicks game was a pretty good game. The Knicks series, right?
Mm-hmm.
Will we say that? Mm-hmm. So saying that though, what does that say for Philly? Because Philly had a hobbled Joel Embiid, a milk carton Tobias Harris, but they had Maxey that showed up. So what does that actually say for a Philly team that was kind of hobbled and stucker and kind of like gave the Knicks a battle all throughout the 6 games?
Look, here it is right here, man. I liked what Joel Embiid them was doing. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like what they were doing. I like the effort that they put out. Maxey was, but the Knicks should have beat them because Joel Embiid is hurt, injured, out there trying to play. He playing on one leg pretty much. You got to take advantage of that. You got to beat that team. Jalen Brunson, I told you, I'm actually looking at ahead to the finals. I can see Jalen Brunson versus Ant-Man in the finals. These 2 dudes got more heart than any players I've seen in a long time. I mean, they willing their teams to victory. You throw Luka in there. Well, he ain't done it recently, but remember a few years ago, Luka in the Western Conference Final, like willing his team to. Man, I'm just looking at it. Yeah, but anyway, back to the Philly thing. Philly, man, it don't matter who coaches that squad. They never gonna get over the hump as long. And this is my thing. Joel Embiid you might want to force a trade out of Philly. And yeah, this is why you're not gonna win in Philly. Your role players, the other role players suck in Philly, man. Tobias Harris had like one good game. This is a veteran that you leaning on. Buddy Hield didn't touch the court at all. Like he can't even keep up in your offense. I mean, you need shooters out there to beat the Knicks or whatever. You need tough play. The Knicks had the tougher players with Josh Hart, and then Josh Hart. You see how the confidence grew for the Knicks for certain Knicks players, Hardenstein and all them. Like DiVincenzo and stuff, man, they rose, like they play got better as they went um on in the series. Phillies didn't. Philly won one game because Joel Embiid Iron Man and dropped 50 points. Um, you know, the second game they won, it was Maxey, right? Maxey with the heroics at the end of the game where the Knicks was already celebrating and thinking it was over. You know what I'm saying? A 6-point lead with like 30 some seconds, and then Maxey comes and saved the day. But nowhere can you say that Philly out executed them, even with a championship coach. No way did you say that Philly's players, even though the names on the jerseys are bigger names than the ones on the Knicks team, no way did you say that they outplayed them in any area. They got terribly out rebounded. I mean, you're never gonna win if you're getting out rebounded like that, and if you're giving up all them offensive rebounds over and over again. And you can't keep a guard off the glass. I mean, and a part of that is Joel Embiid. Who he gonna box out with that knee? You beating him to the ball all day. I think he was a liability on the glass a lot of times. Even though he got his numbers, he still was a liability on the glass.
I agree with you. I think the X factor, as you said, I think we stated that the X factor in the situation was going to be that of Josh Hart, who continually stayed banging and knocking them out, staying on the glass. Of course, last night he was what? Josh Hart had 14 rebounds. Yeah, 14 rebounds. Shooting guard, 14 rebounds. Which he had 8 defensive. That means he had 6 offensive rebounds.
Think about that. One person got 6 offensive rebounds.
Yeah, one guard to even put a larger perspective on it. One guard,
so
offensive rebounds. Additionally, Robinson had 6 offensive rebounds as well. 5 offensive rebounds from Hartenstein. So like they was cleaning it.
You see what I'm saying? And they did that repeatedly in the series. So my thing is as a coach, man, how do you tell your team box out? And how do you make sure they box out? Like you can't go out there and box out for it. Was the effort for me? It's the effort of the role players on the Sixers and Joel Embiid's injuries. Like he was injured last year too, right? Like, or he was playing injured. Like he plays injured every postseason pretty much. That's becoming a theme with him. But I also don't like the fact that he got away with some dirty plays within that series. So I was happy that they lost because I thought he did some dirty stuff. The chicken wing, the pull the guy down. I think he did a couple of dirty things, that he wasn't penalized for heavy enough, in my opinion. But at the same time, he gave maximum effort. And he tried to play defensively, like he made some good defensive plays on Jalen Brunson in that overtime victory, which is what I'm saying. He stepped up to the but Jalen Brunson and that squad, man. I think Thibodeau might have him. He might have something to talk about here in a couple of weeks. I'm talking champion, like making it to the championship.
So when you look at it, right, Tobias Harris, no points, 0 for 4. I mean, 0 for 2.
Why are you taking 2 shots?
That part. True that. This is a good point. Why is he taking 2 shots? Like Buddy Hield off the bench, 20 points off the bench. Nicholas Batum, 16 points off the bench. Cameron Payne, 6 points. After that, there was no one else that had any bench scoring. Plus 2 of your starters didn't score any bench points. Joel Embiid dropped a 39 piece last night, 17 points apiece from Maxey and Kelly Oubre. And they was within 3. Like that was another situation to where we might see we might be talking something different if Joel was healthy.
We might be talking something different if Harris put the ball in the bucket. If he get those 2 buckets, you talking something different. I'm just saying. See that's what I mean about the effort. That's what I mean about the effort. You take 2 shots in a meaningful game, and you're a veteran on the team. Like by now, you should know how to at least get to the free throw line. You should know how to get something to help to contribute to your team.
29 minutes on the court. No
I mean,
point.
what else you want? What else you want Embiid to do? like the guy did everything, man. With Bell's palsy in the face and all this stuff, migraines and everything. The guy did everything. And it's still not enough because the people around you is either James Harden or Ben Simmons, and now we talking Harris. I've been talking Harris for years though. I'm like, why? But I thought the same thing. Like, hey man, you holding the team back because you so inconsistent. I mean, you got to get more consistent. You in the league for a reason, but where's the consistency? Nobody asking you to give 20 a night, but you at least a 10-point a night person. Like you can't have these too many highs. I mean, way too many lows for the few highs that you get from this guy. And it's not just him. Like I said, it's we were Reed played pretty good in other games. You ain't mentioned that he had points. I mean, I'm just saying, like it was like a lot of different,
Yeah, Reed I think only dropped like 8 points or something like that, 6 points. So if moving on to the other game, of course, both with the 4-2 victory, Indiana moves on to be to play in the second round, in which Dame Lillard 28 points playing injured, hobbled for the most part. 20 points from Portis, 20 points from Lopez. Chris Middleton, after 2 games where he showed that he is still a player in this league, dropped 14 points. And then you kind of teared us off from there. Malik Beasley, 2 points. Connaughton, 3 points. 2 points from Livingston. 1 point from Gallinari. And not really. But the Pacers, 2 20 pieces from the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Obi Toppin, TJ McConnell, 20 points apiece, 21 from Toppin. And then, of course, the starters did what they needed to do. 17 points from Halliburton, Nembhard with 14, 19 from Siakam, Nesmith with 15, and then Turner, after a good game, 5, I think, or game 4 it was, 5 points from that night. In this game, right? I'm not going to say, I mean, yes, 20 pieces from your starters, 40 points off the bench, 41 points actually more than that, but 40 from 2 players, 40 points off the bench. But I think it's Siakam that has really done the damage. Siakam has had 2 games consistently, although they lost one of those 2 30 pieces. And we sit up and said, we was like Siakam, we didn't talk too much about Siakam in the beginning, but I think Siakam is some of their key going forth into the second round. What do you think?
I told you that when they picked him up, he had a chance when he got the trade. Remember, I said that he had that championship prowess. He bring that element that the rest of them, if they follow his lead, so to speak, in some respects, his hustle and his relentlessness. Like I seen games where he wasn't even shooting that well, but he didn't stop shooting and he didn't stop trying to make plays. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like a couple of games in this series, just that will and that fortitude to keep pushing, man. I think they needed that element. Halliburton and those guys, you get to see what a champion looked like, and Siakam is that. I feel bad that Toronto basically gave him up for nothing, but we're gonna see how that pans out in the long run. But at the same time, hey, on one hand, you got to tip your cap to the Pacers. I knew this was gonna happen. And the Bucks, I don't even want to talk about them. Middleton, I always thought he was anyway, right? So I'm just saying, I don't care. Dame comes out there and he wants to have a heroic effort in this game or whatever. Oh, I'm gonna play through. I was doubtful, but I'm gonna play through this and I'm gonna play just to go home. Like, no, you don't come back like that. What for? What for? Try to prove that you try to help the team? What? They played better without you. They blew them out without you. It was you feel what I'm saying? They blew them out without you. And I think that's why Indiana came back and said, no more of that. It's done. Like that had to be embarrassing to lose to the scrubs.
The expectation, I'm sure, is that there will be no Jay Crowder there next year, which is unfortunate in his defense because Doc came over and played and started coaching, in which Jay Crowder was the only player that didn't get any time this pass, in which he ranted and stated that he doesn't know his role on this team, to where it's probably going to be no longer going to be there.
Here's the problem: you got a player like Jay Crowder who can give you much more, but you rather play Patrick Beverly. I don't understand, yo. That's why Doc Rivers is where he is, people. The decision making, man. Sometimes you wonder why these coaches, like don't have the success that you think they should have. Look at some of their decision making, man. It's like
Pat Beverly is a point guard. Jay Crowder is a power forward. Of course,
doesn't matter.
Doesn't
matter.
More time.
I'm putting the best players on the floor that I can get the most out of right now. And you can't get nothing. Pat Bev is like a career 5-point score. Man, get out of here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, like you're not gonna get anything from him that's gonna be meaningful in a meaningful game. Other than what you get, other than him fighting with the fans and stuff like that. And his antics. You're not gonna get championship winning ball. And Doc should know this, man. Doc should know this. I mean, that tells you something about a coach, man. Sometimes when you look at it, his success was tagged to 3 veterans. Do you feel what I'm saying? 3 veterans. So they did it. He didn't do it. His coaching philosophy hasn't panned out anywhere else. Like, seriously, like this dude is not a champ. Doc Rivers is not a championship coach, man. And it's just that simple. It's just that simple. Like, yo, you watching coaches come out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, and they coach better than Doc. You know what I'm saying? If Eric Spoelstra, look, you saw what the Heat did with what they got compared to what the Bucks got.
Mm-hmm.
The Bucks got the best. They had depth. Remember we were talking all season. They got some of the best scrubs in the league. They got depth. Where does it get you? Nowhere. Like Spoelstra is doing more with less than a lot of these coaches with a whole lot. Like Frank Vogel had a whole lot. A whole lot. Couldn't win a game. Couldn't win a game. I mean, I'm just saying you had a whole lot. I mean, man, no doubt if the Heat had a healthy Jimmy Butler, or I think even a Terry Rozier in certain games, that series goes 7 against the Celtics, and who knows? It's a toss-up of who win it. You know what I'm saying? They probably beat the Celtics. I'm just saying the difference. You see the difference, Trey. Like, I'm sick of I got nothing against Doc other than the fact that I'm tired of people thinking that they're gonna bring him in and win a championship when he ain't won since 08 or whatever, man. Like, and he ain't been since what, 09-10 season or whatever. Was it that season? No, 09, 08, 09, whatever season it was when the Lakers beat them or whatever. So yeah, he ain't been. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. And how many years ago was that? And that's what he hanging his hat on. Like 16 years later, he ain't produced nothing else. I mean, he ruined the Clippers going down the stretch on the end. You was building a contender there. That's why he out of there. That's why they let him go. Is that, man, what's your championship philosophy? He blew the championship. He blew the Clippers should have won the championship in the bubble. And they were going to win it. He blew that. It wasn't the players that blew it. Remember, long stretches, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George got you huge leads in every game against Denver. And what did he do? He set them down for what's his name? Lou Williams and Pat Bev and those dudes, man. Like, seriously, he set them down. It's long stretches in the third quarter. For what? Close the game out, Doc. Like, for real, it's the decision making to me that makes me mad about Doc Rivers, man. It's like, yo, go with your best. Go when you need your best. Go with your best players. The players to give you the best chance to win. Stop falling in love with these players. And I'm only riding on Pat Bev because you brought Pat Bev over mid-season or whatever. He didn't even have to be there.
Did he bring Pat? Was Pat already there?
No, he brought him over.
Oh, okay.
Didn't he bring him over? He brought him over. Because wasn't Bev in like Chicago or something?
No, I think they brought. Well, yeah, he was in Chicago.
He traded. Then when Doc Rivers got there, he traded for Pat Bev, didn't he?
Oh, okay.
Like he went and got Pat Bev. I'm saying, like, stop. Stop it, man. You put players out there that's gonna get buckets, play decently on defense. Do you see what you know why Denver is so cold? Did you see their execution when they needed to? every time the Lakers got a big lead on them, did you see the execution? It wasn't just Jokic. Look at the execution. That's coaching 1-on-1. Like Mike Malone is quickly becoming one of the best coaches in the league because do you see the offense, man? They execute at a high level and it's almost flawless. Doc Rivers been here that long. How many times have you said he's run great execution? Like his teams have executed like the players ain't buying into your philosophy all the way, all this other stuff, man. So why are you coaching my squad? I'm just saying.
They got it, but he's been there. He's been to 2 championships.
Yeah, but what have you done for me lately? Like I said, that was how long ago.
Yeah.
Like, what have you done since then? Like, nothing. I mean, your teams constantly underperform. Now this year, we're gonna give you a grace period because Giannis went down again. But they didn't give. But look, Giannis went down last year, and they was number 1 in the East, and they got rid of Budenholzer or whatever. You know what I'm saying? They got rid of a championship coach that was more recent than Doc.
They're probably gonna kick the tires and see what they can produce. So of course, additionally, Beverly is probably gonna face a suspension as he had his little scuff dust up with some of the fans yesterday in throwing the ball, hitting a young lady in the head, and then asking for the ball back and throwing the ball back at the fan that gave the ball back. And like you said, the antics and stuff like that is probably going to be. It's going to definitely be one of those situations where it outsway. I'm very sure for him particularly is going to be one of those things where having him on the roster is going to be outweighed by the antics are going to outweigh having him on the roster, and he's going to probably be gone again next year. To where it might be finally where we don't see Pat Beverly anymore.
Check this out, right? The antics, right? Remember Dennis Rodman? Dennis Rodman was full of antics, right? You know why people could put up with Dennis Rodman? How many times did he lead the league in rebounds? I'm saying, like, go back to Draymond, like I was saying with the Draymond, right? Draymond was Defensive Player of the Year. People forget that. You know what I'm saying? He always been mentioned in the Defensive Player of the Year. He make first team defense, second team defense all the time. Pat Bev was probably on the first. Was he ever on first team defense? Maybe once in his career or something. All I'm saying is this. That's totally different. Like, you got to cut the antics out, man, and just be about your business. You know, like the young world say today, stand on business, bro. Like, stand on business. But Trey, real quick, I wanted to address the done thing with the Kawhi Leonard. I agree with you.
That was the next thing. Go ahead.
I agree with you on the Kawhi thing. I'm off the Clippers bandwagon, man. Like, I'm a huge Kawhi guy, but he's just not going to be healthy. And I don't know who to blame for that. If that's on him or if that's on the doctor, the procedure that he had done because his knee, he just can't seem to get healthy enough to contribute. And I can't believe that Steve Ballmer. I don't think Steve Ballmer still want to pay him after this year. Because Ballmer's an active owner like a Mark Cuban. Remember how Mark Cuban was when Mark Cuban first came into the league? Ballmer's there, man. He dancing. He ready to dance. He ready to be happy. He's supporting the team like crazy, right? And then these disappointments, man. The Clippers are. I think we're gonna get to that in a minute.
Yeah, no, we could go ahead and touch on it now. So when you look at it for Los Angeles Clippers, like you said tonight, Game 6, in which there's going to be no Kawhi, about Luka for the most part. But they still have I don't know what Terrence Mann's health is, as he took a hit on the knee, but he seemed like he was fine and wasn't hobbled anymore. You still have James Harden and Russell Westbrook that's on the Clippers rosters, Norman Powell. So they still have a roster that's good enough to probably compete tonight. If Luka is not going to be effective.
Man, stop that. We know what's happening right now. We see this every year with these dudes. I'm off the Paul George bandwagon. Man, I wanted to
Playoff
see Paul George, but Paul George, man, Paul George, wow. I mean, yeah, Paul George, he may have had the best Clipper career, but in the playoffs, man, this dude's a letdown. It's wow. And we know what James Harden track record is, man. But when are they gonna shake those stigmas? When are they gonna shake that and just say, this is my moment, man? At some point, you just gotta go all out. And I don't see the all out from these dudes, man. I don't see I just see a bunch of jump shots going up. I don't see the now I'm finna get into my tool bag and I'm finna hit you with. Do you see what Kyrie is doing? Kyrie hitting you with everything. Luka is throwing the kitchen sink at you, and you not responding. You got beat at home in a game 5, like bad, in front of your own fans. And then after the game, Teron Lewis like, oh well, James. I bet you James won't play like that the next game. It's not gonna matter now because now you're going to Luka's house. You gave them the advantage. You done gave them the home court advantage. It's over for you. And it's because your players, I don't understand. Zubac was killing. Why you stop giving them the ball? Like different things that you guys got a question about. But the effort of James Harden had 7 points in game 5 at a 33 in game 4. Paul George had 15 points. Man, it's like, dude, like I said, why you ain't opening up your full arsenal at this point and giving them everything said? Man, if I'm going out, you know what I'm saying? If I'm going out this way. Remember the old gangster movies and stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't going out like that. I'm going out like this. Like you feel what I'm saying? What's that? Set It Off, the Queen Latifah, man. One of my favorite movies. Like the end. You going out like that, right? Like I mean, I'm just these dudes ain't going out like that, man. They just like it's almost like forget it. It's too hard to give maximum effort right now. So forget it.
So I think it just comes back down to the fact of no Kawhi. Kawhi is the engine. When they got Kawhi, they're except for one game.
Trey, look, you just mentioned it. Powell is always mentioned as the sixth man. You got enough talent. I mean, go player for player. Okay. Go player for player.
Because they don't have Tim Hardaway. He's out.
That's what I'm saying. So go player for player. You getting outplayed by Lively and Gafford. And I mean, do you feel what I'm saying? What's his name?
Derrick Jones.
Kleber. You getting outplayed by Max Kleber. And you
I think Jones was clearly ideal because his defense on Paul George basically
ain't no defense for, man. You seen Paul George bag. Ain't no defense for Paul George, man. Stop it, man.
Derrick Jones was in his bag. He was in his chest.
Yeah, he was in his chest, but at the same time, ain't no defense with Paul George. If Paul George want to bring it, he gonna bring it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Jones, you've been there the whole time. Like, you can come get some of these 33s. You can come get it when Paul George, man. It's just the moment. These dudes don't rise to the moment, man. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the Clippers like being disappointing. By now, you should know how to play without Tyronn Lue. You should know how to play without Kawhi Leonard at this point. He ain't been there for you your last 3 playoff runs. He ain't been around. So you should know how to maneuver now.
I'm fine with it. I hope Dallas closes it out.
They're going to close tonight. Dallas closes tonight.
I hope Dallas closes tonight because what you do not want is a Game 7 back in LA with a Kawhi Leonard basically going ahead and playing.
And Kyrie gonna beat you in Game 7 in LA. So, and even if it comes down to that, but I think it's over tonight. You know what I'm saying?
The other game, which we said is probably a 7-game series, which we have yet to see. In order for it to be anything remotely of that, they have to get a dub tonight. That's the Orlando Magic and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Those young cats in Orlando got to show improve tonight, and then running back again on what was that Saturday, I believe. Do you think Orlando's going to be able to hold off Cleveland, or are we going to see Cleveland finish it out tonight, and then we're on to the second rounds?
I don't know. Cleveland got the veteran closers, right, with Jared Allen and Donovan Mitchell. I think as long as the Orlando Magic they playing at home tonight, as long as they come in with the mindset of competing and playing and not giving in to the pressure of the moment, I think they'll be fine. They need a little bit more. For me, they play all right, but I think that down the stretch of games, they need a little bit more balance. Um, only it's only two or three teams where you can say Brunson, you can give him the ball the whole fourth quarter, and he got to just make the right decision. Jokic, you can give him the ball the whole fourth quarter, he got to make the right decision. Ant-Man, you can give him the ball late in the fourth quarter, he got to make the right. I mean, but so you got to get somebody else involved late in the game. For me, that's just for me watching Orlando Magic. You got to get somebody else involved late in the game.
I hope Orlando is there. I would like to see Orlando keep it young in the overall. But I mean, like you said, the defense, a veteran-laden team or veteran presence is helpful, and you have a Donovan Mitchell and a Jared Allen at this point. Although Jared Allen, he did miss practice due to he has a rib injury, so it's uncertain if he's going to be available for Game 6. But if he isn't, then that's probably going to be problematic. In which, presumably, I guess they'll bring him back for the closeout game in Cleveland. If Orlando is able to take care of business. So
I feel bad for whoever wins that series anyway. They only gonna go and either gentleman sweep against the Celtics anyway. Like
I'm hoping. For the simple fact of completing what I need to be done, although I want Orlando to get the dub, but I would prefer, like you just said, the veteran presence is going to be needed versus the Celtics. I think they have a little more. I think they have a better ability as well, especially now that Porzingis is out. That Allen and Mobley connection might be helpful as compared to anything else. I think playing against Orlando with Porzingis out is going to play into Boston's benefit, and it'll be more problematic. It'll be a tougher matchup for Orlando than it would be in Cleveland. But I need Boston to lose. In any case, I need Boston to lose. I just want to
look, Celtics, they looking pretty good. What are you looking at? The Knicks. I like what I see from the Knicks. That Knicks Indiana is gonna be like a old school type series, like you know what I mean? Like we haven't seen this in a while. Remember Reggie Miller and Patrick Ewing and those? Yeah, hey man. So that's gonna be a good series right there, Trey. That Knicks and Indiana Pacers. I still think when they slow the game down, Brunson gonna do them at some point. I see Brunson winning that series in 6 or 7. Like I said, whoever go against Boston, if you come out there playing around, no Porzingis, if those threes are falling for the Celtics too, it's over in like 4 or 5, real quick for you.
So as we get ready, oh wow, look at there. Odell Beckham Jr. agrees to a 1-year deal with the Miami Dolphins.
Is that a surprise?
Is it even helpful? Does it make a difference? Does that take off? Does that take off some of the sting for Waddle and Hill?
Well, it gives you a little.
Well, Gesicki isn't there no more.
Well, it gives you a little extra insurance because both of those dudes are prone. All 3 of them now are prone to have injuries at some point. So, but I'm not even looking at Miami. Like Miami ain't even in the conversation of championships, so it don't move the needle for me.
15 in 9 years, that's tough, especially where you was or who you was initially. In any case, as we get ready to close out, I know you're a hardball guy, but I had a question, which I thought about. What is your take when you look at Mike Trout versus Bryce Harper? They both came in at the same time, in which they came in. Harper was the heralded player, but it was Mike Trout that was the better player in state. But now, when you look at it, Mike Trout seems to be falling off a cliff, and Bryce Harper is re-emerging now that he's moved on and he's a champion. Uh, and now has seemingly galvanized and retook that spot of him being a top player at the time in which he was drafted. What do you think is what is leading to the fall off of Mike Trout and the reemergence of Bryce Harper?
Besides injuries, it's the organization that you play for, the Angels, right? Like you just lost Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani was like, I want to go somewhere to win. You know what I'm saying? Like the Angels. I mean, remember the Angels used to be tough. The early 2000s, the early turn of the century, that first decade of the century, they was tough, and they've fallen off, man. I think it's just not making the right decisions within the organization and having you got a talent like Trout and you're not even in the playoff conversation. Just let that sink in, right? You had Trout and Ohtani and you're not in the playoff conversation. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It was over. I mean, so how do you explain having that kind of talent? You know, I mean, I know injuries, like I said, play a part in that, but overall, it's like Trout been there quite a while, and you're not capitalizing, you're not putting pieces around them to be successful, but you watching. I mean, you watching the Padres spend all that money and it hasn't won anything to try to build a team, and you're not in like that. The Angels and the Mets, they are two disappointing organizations for me within the last decade or so, with their decision making and how they spend their funds. Like you don't let Ohtani go, you figure out a way to keep him, right? You offer him everything if you're trying to win a championship. That's all I'm saying. Because him and Trout together, you think that two is better than one, right? Like you see the Yankees trying to stack up Juan Soto, which it turned out to be a decent move for them, up until the point that Judge started getting hurt. You know, they key players start getting hurt, which happens every year to the Yankees now. But you see these other teams, like you see the Astros. The Astros, they don't nearly have the bankroll of a lot of these other teams, but they've been able to win consistently. You saw the Rangers with not have a whole bunch on the payroll, but they won. I mean, you starting to notice a theme that sometimes it's just
you can do it without just
the players, right?
The blue. What's it? The blue collar players.
It's just unfortunate. I mean, who thought that I would be saying that? It's just unfortunate that he plays for the Angels. You know what I'm saying? Like you normally don't say that about California teams a whole lot, right? Like in professional sports, but it's just unfortunate that's who he plays for.
And they just talked about New York, the Yankees. Of course, they're currently sitting at second place, just one game behind the Baltimore Orioles, who are tied with the Cleveland Guardians for the best record in MLB. I mean, the second best record in MLB. The Braves are doing what they usually do, running amok in the MLB and putting up. But the Yankees are one game behind the Orioles. With the second tie, with the second best record in the AL. Do they climb out, or I mean, I guess it's a little presumptuous to speak on it right now because they're basically only 31 games in to 160 game season. To where, but I mean, ball is being played. Where do you like your Yankees at this current point?
Man, right now, it's too early, but I think that, like I said, if they can stay healthy, we know that they're gonna make a run. But that AL East is always it's a tough division to get through because you expect the Rays to shine at some point. At some point, you might see the Blue Jays pop back up. I mean, you know, like it's always a fight right there. Then you got the Red Sox. I don't like to mention them, but you know. But so you got all those elements, and Baltimore have been coming on strong the last couple of years, the last 2 or 3 years actually. I just think they'll be like I think the Yankees will probably be like a wild card or something because I pitching is still questionable. So when the games get tighter, we have to see what those pitchers do.
So, of course, that's our show today. Of course, be sure to tap in with us. We're up Sunday, as we, like I said, new different type of show, and also streaming on the Roku's channel, NESSP. That's the Northeast Streaming Sports program, and so we'll catch that. If you have a Roku, go ahead and subscribe to that channel. Catch us there as well as we talk to Coach White of the Ramstein military basketball team. You speak to him and engage with him. So it should be a good show, as well as catch the segment Concur or No, as we're going to have a couple of debate topics, and we basically need y'all to say if you could, who you think had the best points. Some a little bit different, so be sure to tap in and see that. And then, of course, we'll be back here on Monday to talk about what's going on in the playoffs, as we by then should be in the second round, unless we still have those teams, one of the two teams tonight, that are able to push the ticket for a game 7. So it should be a great thing. Any last words, Coach, before we get out of here?
Ant-Man versus the Joker, baby. That's gonna be something for the team. The playoffs' best defensive team against, like I said, at times some of that flawless execution. This is gonna be a good series. I hope. Like, as long as nobody gets injured, let's hope that everybody stays healthy within that series. That Jamal Murray gets a little bit more healthy. I don't want no excuses. Like, this is gonna be good. I'm going with Ant-Man though. I'm going Ant-Man. I'm going Minnesota Timberwolves.
It's definitely it's going to be interesting, yeah. And where you look at it, like both those two series in the East and the West, the Minnesota and New York. I mean, Minnesota and Denver, and then the New York, and like you just said, the Pacers, which I just watched earlier. The whole Reggie Miller, what's that? 8 points, and I mean, yeah, just watch that and caught that. So definitely something to take a look at. But for myself, People's Coach Cornelius Cole, we look forward to catching up with y'all, like I said, Sunday, and then running it back probably again on Monday, as y'all be sure to tap in and check us out. Hey, holla at y'all. Enjoy y'all's weekend. Peace.